Williamsville Sports Weekly is brought to you by your local country financial representative, Ed Legner. Please contact Ed for all your insurance and financial planning needs. His office is located at 318 Crossing Drive in Sherman, and he can be reached at 217-496-2341. But for now, enjoy the show. Welcome to Williamsville Sports Weekly, an in-depth look at both BB and Bullet athletics, hosted by our athletic director Adam Euchre and former Lady Bullets basketball coach John Hampton.
Welcome to episode 111 of Williamsville Sports Weekly, presented by Ed Legner, Country Insurance Financial Representative for Sherman, Illinois. You can visit Ed for all your insurance and financial needs. John, we haven't talked in a while. Hard to believe that the winter sports and activity season is ending tomorrow as we record this on Thursday. Scholastic Bowl going to state for the second year in a row. We'll talk about them in a second. Spring sports has started, and it's already started, but I've had to move stuff around because of cold weather. And looking at tomorrow and Saturday, doesn't look like weather's going to be cooperating with us either, but that's just spring here in central Illinois.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of, you know that's coming. It's hitting you early, and maybe we'll get a stretch here in April or something where, unusually, maybe we can get a week or two where we can just get some good ball games going. And unfortunately, I was thinking just yesterday, didn't we end up playing SHG last night?
SHG last night, fourth year in a row, we've beaten them, 6-5 win. Josh Gray had a solo home run. Luke Roberts had a key two-out RBI single that brought in some runs. So that's a big win for a young team with Coach Butch replacing a good majority of his pitching staff. Gray's really the only one that had varsity experience last year. So really big win for them last night, but conditions were not the best.
Yeah, as I was driving back up to school, and I was thinking, man, it's too bad this sport couldn't be played, maybe from May to July or whatever, just so they have optimal conditions for competition. Even that game last night, it wasn't played in the right conditions, so you don't know how the conditions would affect the score either way. And it's just too bad with spring sports. Sometimes the weather is a bigger factor than sometimes even the two opponents. That kind of skews the game. And I don't know if that happened last night, but I was just thinking that it'd be really nice if they could play in better weather for a majority of their season. What is nice though is by the time postseason comes around, they're playing in great weather, usually in May. But unfortunately, early in the season, weather's really a big factor with their competitive balance and all that kind of stuff. The good thing is with our field, we end up playing a ton more home games because we can get the games in on our field. And a lot of times even we'll be scheduled to go away, and a lot of times I know you'll move the game here just to get the game in. And the other team's fine with it because they know they're going to play in a good facility.
Yeah, and that's, a number of reasons why that can take place. One, because of the wind tunnel we have out here, so things tend to dry pretty quickly. Yep. And then some of the stuff we've done to both Jane Grebner Field and the baseball field over the last few years with putting some field conditioner in, same stuff you'd see at Bush or Wrigley with what you see on the infields there. So that helps to dry it out quite a bit more. Plus then the maintenance crews that we have out there do a great job with it. Coach Butchery takes an unbelievable care of his field, and Coach Furlow did before that. So, and then Chuck Walbert on the softball side. So a lot of people working hard to make sure those games get in, but it's hard to believe that that's already here, and we're in the last quarter. I know a big point for you with kind of that transition is the start of the NCAA tournament, which starts today. Kansas playing at 1 o'clock. And we still do have basketball going on. Casey Tuttle in the finals of the fan voting competition for the American Family Insurance Slam Dunk and Three-Point Championship. Voting ends tomorrow at noon Central Time, and he holds about a 5% lead right now. An opportunity to go down to San Antonio during Final Four week and shoot against some of the best in the country. Great opportunity for not only for Casey but to represent the Bullet Athletic Department as well.
Yeah, that's like you said, that's kind of a two good things coming out of there. Casey, who's, I was just telling you, great kid, great student, did a great job for us in the basketball program. He gets that good experience, good life experience of doing that, and he gets to represent our school, and we know he'll represent us in a good way. And it's good positive vibes coming off of that, and it's a big deal, for our community to support him so much that he's won all these different rounds, and to be up 5% right now. 5%'s a lot when you talk about. There's a lot of votes in, so it's kind of hard to move that 5% when you got a lot of votes in there, the way they do. Both kids do have in there now, and it's a win-win situation. You got to really get a big shout out to the community members who nightly go in there and vote for Casey. And I know some of the teachers have gotten some of their students whenever they're in a computer lab to let's vote for Casey real quick and get some votes in like that. So there's been a ton of support. you've done a good job. The school's done a good job. The community's done a good job of, trying to get the word out. And, it's just going to be a real positive. I hope Casey can hold on to that lead. And he can come back and tell some stories about the Final Four.
So we'll keep you guys up to date on that. The other big story right now, Scholastic Bowl going to the state finals, second year in a row. Obviously this year, a little bit more pressure on them. State runner-up, good majority of their team coming back in a similar position to what our softball team is as they start their season today against Stanford Olympia. JV had a game last night against East Peoria. They had a big win, 11-5 here at Jane Grebner Field. But that pressure and that expectation, you'll hear as we talk about with Coach Trimpe and then seniors Mitch McCullar and Jared Owens in the next two segments. But as a coach, you kind of had some of that over at Riverton when some of your teams were. How do you handle that pressure, and how do you ensure that your kids just go out and play and view it as just another game?
Oh, man, it varies with – with the kids you have. If you have a real senior-laden team, I think they can handle it better, kind of like our softball team. So many seniors, they've had expectations on them for since they were freshmen coming in. They're probably to the point where they're just kind of like, yeah, we need to either do it or not do it. And, from what I see, they're just so mature, and I think they'll handle it really, really well. If you got a real young team, you almost have to be on them a little much, a lot. I shouldn't say a little, a lot, and try to keep the noise away from them. Everybody telling them how good they are and things like that. I know when our teams were younger and good, it was rough. They had a real good game. You really had to be on them in practice, and you just try to shrink their heads a little bit. But when they were juniors and seniors, they got it. Like, they understood that there was a process and there was a goal at the end. And even if you didn't win at the end, it was all about building through the process, which you've talked about a lot too with your coaches. And I think that's going to help the softball team too. Is like, you guys have really focused on that here the last couple of years, and the kids understand that now too, because it's just kind of spread all throughout our athletic programs, talking to different coaches. And but yeah, they got to understand that it's a day by day thing, and you can't guarantee anything. And you brought up the basketball tournament, and I know like Virginia's the number 1 seed overall, and their most athletic player just broke his wrist on Tuesday. Things happen. So you got to live in the moment and try to get better every day. And if things work out, things work out. But, and even with the Scholastic Bowl, who knows what kind of questions are going to come up tomorrow, in those different games. So, yeah, you just got to kind of enjoy it as you go, and you try to stress that. And if you have older kids will understand that better than younger kids. So it depends on your kids.
Well, the thing with Scholastic Bowl, too, they probably have the toughest match right out of the gate. A lot of people are saying, it's probably the state title match as they face Piasaw Southwestern. And, what we talk about, as you'll hear in the next interview, if you want to win it all, you eventually got to beat them at some point, whether it's in the title game or, in that first round. So we wish them the best of luck tomorrow, and I know these kids are excited to go, and I think they're humbled as well, as you'll hear both Jared and Mitch talk about.
Oh, I think so too, and I tell you that the support that the students give those guys when they get to this level is outstanding, and I know we're going to have an assembly today for them. And by the way, I think that was a really good move you guys made, that anybody that goes to state gets recognized at school, gets assembly, at the end of the period, end of the day, and I think the kids enjoy that. And some of these kids don't get that recognition that a lot of our athletes do, from Channel 20, 1450, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, any kind of recognition these guys can get, they've earned it. They really work hard at it. They're just not walking in there and answering questions. They do a lot of studying. So, looking forward to that. And the school was buzzing last year, wondering what the scores were, so it'll probably happen again tomorrow.
Yeah, if you can't be there tomorrow, I know we have some students going up to watch, and you'll hear as we talk with Mitch and Jared about the etiquette that a fan section has to have at Scholastic, a little bit different than a sporting event. So look forward to hearing that here in the next few minutes. But if you can't be up there tomorrow, obviously IHSA Score Zone will be updating the scores a little bit quicker, though, on WCUSD 15 Sports on Twitter for not only Scholastic Bowl updates, but all news and score updates throughout the 17-18 school year, mainly the spring season. Left, obviously, follow us on Facebook as well, facebook.com/WHS Bullets for not only high school information, but there's some athletic information there as well. And also on Twitter, a number of our teams have got their own Twitter accounts, so follow them as well. They're all up there on Twitter, and you can access those at WCSD 15 Sports. So a lot of good things going on, and when we return, we'll be joined by head Scholastic Bowl coach Brant Trimpe.
Next time you're in the market for insurance or financial planning, stop by and see Country Financial Representative Ed Legner at 318 Crossing Drive in Sherman, or give him a call at 217-496-2341. And now, back to the show.
Welcome back to Williamsville Sports Weekly, presented by Ed Legner, Country Insurance Financial Representative for Sherman, Illinois. You can visit Ed for all your insurance and financial needs. Sitting with us right now, fourth-year head coach for the Bullet Scholastic Bowl program, Brant Trimpe. Brant, you're in the same spot you were last year, obviously a little bit more comfortable this time because you kind of know what to expect going to state. I know when football went in 2014, Coach Coons, he was so nervous he didn't know what to expect. Same thing with Coach Buttrey when we went with baseball that same year, and they called some coaches that had gone and had asked, what do we expect? What this we have to get done and all that. I know one thing you said coming off this last weekend in the second straight sectional title, you feel much more comfortable now, at least knowing about the process going in.
Yeah, I think the important part is because we've been to state previously, I don't have to worry about all the kind of the work in the background to get the team ready to go. We can actually just focus on getting ready for the competition itself. Last year it was kind of tough. We had to figure out where to go. We had to, kind of work with the schedule in terms of, it was a brand new tournament that we've never been to. This year we don't really have those concerns, so I've kind of shifted over to getting the students more ready this year, hopefully to finish strong on Friday.
Well, and you talk about not knowing where to go. There's two big events going on at the Civic Center at the same time. The 3A and the 4A state finals for boys basketball, and then your event too, which yours is more in the theater ballroom area, like where their offices are, but still there's still quite a few people up there.
Yeah, so when we went last year, having the basketball championships up there, it's very busy, it's very crowded, parking's kind of crazy, and so all of that was brand new last year. And Scholastic Bowl actually is in the upper level of the Peoria Civic Center, and I have never been up there previously. And so last year was the first time I actually got to go to the upper level, and it's quite nice. They have a nice ballroom. They've got multiple side rooms for all the matches to go on. It's a really nice setup for the kids and the coaches. But the nice part is this year I don't, all of that's kind of already in the back of my mind, and so we can just focus on the logistics in terms of getting the team ready.
We talked about second year going to state in a row. Obviously lost some key players from last year, but with the kids that have returned for you, you said they feel much more comfortable. What have you done to make sure that they feel that comfort level going in, and that this is just another tournament, even though there's a lot more on the line?
The nice part with this group of kids that I have is they were freshmen when I was a first-year coach. So we've been doing this together for the last 4 years, and we've built some really positive relationships, not only with me as the coach, but having them work together as a team. And that's kind of been my focus over the past few years. They can study with me, but a lot of them study on their own, and they do a good job of that. But I really like to work with them in terms of kind of working together, in terms of a team, trying to get them to think about what they like to study, what they like to specialize in, and then just kind of giving them advice to go from there. In terms of getting ready for this Friday, we've been to a lot of tournaments this year, and I think that's going to help ease the pressure a little bit just because we already have that practice this season.
I know one thing you talked about last year that you felt that you looked at and you felt that really needed to be worked on was that teamwork aspect, and you really focused on that going into last season, and we really saw it pay huge dividends as we had that runner-up at the state tournament. How did you continue that process this year? Obviously, with a majority of those kids returning, but what did you kind of do different? Kind of sprinkle in to make it better for them so that they would get more out of it and even come closer together as a team?
I think with last year focusing on the teamwork, it was important because a lot of the players, they weren't necessarily friends outside of school. Like they would interact a lot at school, but the group that I have this year, they're very strong in terms of their friendships. They have multiple classes together during the day, and really, if you watch these guys play, I've got so many compliments this year about how they work so well together and how they can almost predict what the other one's going to say, or they know what they're thinking without really saying anything. That's based off of what the work they've been doing the past 4 years, based off all the tournaments and meets that they went to this year. And I haven't really had to do a whole lot for them to help them with that. So what I have done instead is help them specialize in getting a little bit more in-depth with the content, giving them different ways to help them study further, to get those harder questions. either during a meet or during a tournament. So that's kind of been my focus this year.
So how do you go about that? Because obviously there's a wide range of material that can be asked. I know, it goes from, very academic related stuff to, pop culture based. So comparing it to sports, obviously, and I'm a football guy, all I focused on was defense when I was coaching. That's what I focused on, and it was our defense, kind of planning versus who we were going to play. You have a lot more to prepare for because of the wide range of content that you have to make sure these kids understand. So how do you go about that, making sure that they're studying the right stuff and that you're getting those minute details that, could make or break a match?
Sure. So it really just depends on the tournament that we go to during the season. That kind of depends on how we're going to prepare for that. But for example, the IHSA has a set ratio of categories that they use during each match. There will be 7 social studies toss-up questions. There will be 4 math toss-up questions. There will be 4 science, 3 fine arts, I believe 6 or 7 literature. So really what we've done is we've taken our team and we have them specialize in one of those subjects. So I have a player who's really good at literature and fine arts. That's kind of been his baby over the past few years, and it's worked out really well for him just to kind of focus on those topics when he can, and if possible, branch out to others. I have a couple guys on the team that focus a lot on science and math and the social sciences in terms of like psychology or philosophy. And then, one of my students this year who's a starter, who wasn't a starter last year, he's really interested in current events, which comes up quite a bit. So we've kind of been pushing him each week to keep up with the news, to keep up with different ways of what's going on around the world, so that if we have those current events questions like politics, we can get those.
So when they buzz in, can anyone just shout it out, or do they kind of have time to, go over with each other and then answer, or is it an instantaneous? They have to give an answer once that buzz has occurred.
So toss up, the person who buzzed in has to give the answer, and then if they get the toss up correct, then they go into a 3-part bonus where they get to confer as a team.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a 2-stage process, and at the IHSA there's 24 of those question cycles. So it goes toss up and then bonus, and then they repeat that until 24 questions are over.
And that's for each match.
That's for each match. So I mean, there's been tournaments that we've went to this year where we've played 10, 12 matches in one day. I mean, these students hear a lot of questions, and we've played looks like 103 matches so far this season, which helps us get better every time we go to play again, because what happens is we find questions that we hear over and over and over again. They're not the same questions, but they cover the same concepts. So we're trying to kind of predict what we think is going to come up.
We talked before we started recording here about how you've been prepping them for the match on Friday. And you said really at this point you're kind of just giving them some basic study things to go over, almost like not trying to reinvent the wheel. Same concept of a team were to get to state. We've gotten there, the things have worked. Will that same thing occur on Thursday, or will you kind of give them a little bit of a break and more of a team bonding? Because obviously, we have that pep rally Thursday and then, go right into practice. What will your Thursday look like, and then even prepping into Friday before you have that first match at 10 o'clock?
Right. So like if I go back to yesterday when we had our practice, I had my whole team there, and I had all my starters, which is kind of hard to do, especially during track season, soccer season, all of that. But I had all of them, so we did some warm-ups with the Chromebooks. We were able to get online and do a few things that we do throughout the year. And then I had them sit down and we did traditional toss-up and bonus questions with the buzzer systems. And then we just kind of ended practice with just some more toss-ups. But the thing I did yesterday was I picked questions from different sets. So some of these sets may have had questions that seemed easy for them. Some of them may have been kind of middle of the road. And some of them maybe they haven't heard before, just to kind of give them a varying range of questions. So Thursday, tomorrow for our practice, it's going to be a little bit more laid back. We're just going to go over some more questions just to kind of keep their mind in the zone in terms of, answering toss-up and bonus questions. And then Friday morning, when we get to the Civic Center, I'll have them warm up a little bit, just asking them questions here or there. But a lot of them are really good at just getting in the zone by themselves. A lot of these guys study on their own, and that's what makes them such a strong team. They work outside of practice so much. And so really I'm just there to kind of support them in any way that I can. But ultimately, they do a great job of getting ready on their own.
Now you said them getting kind of warmed up and focused up at the Civic Center. Will you do like a special meal or anything, Thursday night or Friday morning with breakfast to kind of, there's a lot of thought process out there about, different foods and stuff to get the mind worked up, or even, is there even like where kids will go kind of over to their own area and just listen to music like you see with sporting events? How will that process work?
Well, I kind of let them decide on what they want to do on their own. Some of them like to zone out before a match, listen to music, or just kind of zone out on their phone in terms of like playing a game, so that way they can get to the content later during an actual match. Some of them like to read questions and kind of warm up right before a match starts. So I just kind of let them decide. We don't usually do a team meal the night before, just because all of them have very busy schedules. Like I said, we've got some track players, we've got a soccer player, we've got kids who work. So it's hard for me to kind of balance that schedule, which is a blessing and a curse. One of the reasons why our team is so successful year after year is because our students are so involved in other things outside of school. So depending on how we finish on Friday and all of that, we'll probably wrap up the season with some sort of activity. Usually what I do is we have like a student, teacher, parent grudge match. I bring a lot of food. We have like a team meal. We invite the parents and the teachers to come, and then we play like a trivia night style match where we pit the students against the teachers and then against the parents and see who wins.
Obviously easier questions so that we wouldn't get blown out of the water.
Right. Yeah, definitely. More trivia style.
Well, and you talked about, too, with the kids being involved in so many things, and that's why, and Coach Hampton and I have talked about this, and I preach this all the time when I talk to people. I think that's, the reason why our school is so much different than other schools in all aspects is because our kids are involved, and we share our kids so well, whether it's athletes doing fine arts, athletes doing Scholastic Bowl. They're involved in so many things, and you don't see that many places, and that's why it's such a unique place here, and I think it's one of the very few places left like this in terms of school settings.
Yeah, and I know Scholastic Bowl is just like it's the sum of everything that these kids do, whether it's at school, whether it's with a different organization, or it's at home. So as a coach, I'm just there to guide them. I mean, they do all the hard work. They're in classes all day. They study on their own. They come to practice, and then they do whatever extracurriculars that they have going on as well. And so, like I said, it's both a blessing and a curse. Sometimes I don't get to practice with my whole team, and that's okay because I know that they're putting in that work at a different point. And so I gave my starters some practice material yesterday at the end of practice, and I know they'll look through it before Friday. They're really good. I can definitely trust them to do that for me, and because I know that they have that desire. They want to take first place on Friday, and I want them to do that well, and they do deserve it. It's just we've got 4 matches to get through to get there.
Well, and this will be the first state title since 1995. The only state title that we have is Lady Bullet softball program back in '95. And just talking about this, you've had high expectations coming into this year with the amount of kids that you've returned. Obviously, having that high place last year. How is that pressure right now? You said the kids, they kind of you don't think they're feeling it. You're kind of feeling a little bit more. I think sometimes as coaches we feel it more than kids are. And I know I look back at during my coaching career, and when I felt that pressure, I felt like I over-prepared and maybe confused the kids more. But how is that pressure right now? Because obviously the expectations are high.
I think it's affected me a lot more than the kids. Like yesterday at practice, they were in great spirits. They worked really well with the questions that we were reading to them, and I didn't see them being stressed. And they were, like I said, they seemed in good spirits. Usually when I see the pressure getting to them is in the middle of a match. So it's hard because we face these awesome teams, and we will see some awesome teams at state. The questions are going to go back and forth. We might get a little lead, then the other team might get a little lead, then we might get a lead back. And so that's kind of where the pressure builds up. And I tell them, this is key for Scholastic Bowl. Every question is different. Question 1 and question 2 are not dependent of each other. So even though we missed that first question, that doesn't mean that we're out of the game. Or if we miss the next set of questions, that doesn't mean we're out of the game. So I always tell them, take it a question at a time, because every question is going to be different. And from there, step by step, we can hopefully get that win.
Obviously, starting off, just based on the blind draw, probably one of, if not the top match of the day, facing a Piasaw Southwestern team that you've won 2 and I think lost 5 already this year, but the most recent has been a victory by the Bullets. What do you think it's going to take to overcome that and continue that march on to the goal of a state championship?
Yeah, it's been hard. Piasaw has a very strong program. I'm pretty sure that this is their either their 4th or 5th state appearance in a row. And so, yeah, because we were blessed to play so many matches this season, we've seen them 6 times. Won 2, lost 4. And the one thing I have to say here, I know that's not a winning record, but the 4 losses we've had have all been within the last question of the match. Like, they've all been down to the wire. So the kids are pretty knowledgeable in terms of it's just going to come down to the questions that we hear on Friday. And so hopefully that kind of goes our way. And the kids know that their team is great, our team is great, and they respect Piasaw, and so do I. So we're kind of hoping that whatever happens on Friday, that everyone keeps their heads up high, finishes the day, and hopefully, we can come out ahead this match.
Obviously, a lot of exciting things coming up over the next few days. Obviously, your season doesn't end on Friday as you continue on to the national tournament up in Chicago later in April. We'll be keeping everyone up to date on Twitter at WCSD 15 Sports throughout the day on Friday. And if people want to come and wish you guys good luck, you guys are taking off at 7:30 Friday morning from the main doors of the high school as we escort you guys out of town up to Peoria on 55 up to I-74. Before we let you go, Coach, anything else you'd like to add or tell listeners out there?
I just I'm very blessed this year with the group of students that I have, and so I know a lot of them are going to listen to this podcast, so thanks for putting in all the work. I want to thank all the parents and the teachers and all the staff at the high school. I mean, this is not a one-man show. This is, like I said, the total of everything that these kids do throughout the day. So like you said earlier, this is one of the reasons why Williamsville is such a great place to be.
And we'll be joined by 2 of those students in our next segment as Jared Owens and Mitch McCullar join us as we talk to them about their journey throughout their high school career as Scholastic Bowl players.
Next time you're in the market for insurance or financial planning, stop by and see Country Financial Representative Ed Legner at 318 Crossing Drive in Sherman, or give him a call at 217-496-2341. And now, back to the show.
Welcome back to Williamsville Sports Weekly, presented by Ed Legner, Country Insurance Financial Representative for Sherman, Illinois. You can visit Ed for all your insurance and financial needs. Sitting with us right now, Scholastic Bowl seniors Jared Owens and Mitch McCullar, heading into the state meet 2 days away from us as we sit here and record on Wednesday, the 14th of March. The thing I kind of want to start with, guys, is how is last year different, or how is, I guess, this year different than last year? Looking back, 365 days ago, what is different with this trip to state compared to last year?
This year, our starting lineup last year mostly consisted of juniors, and this year it's the same juniors, but they are now seniors. And I'm pretty sure our entire starting lineup is seniors. And we started out, and we didn't really get that far. I mean, junior year was kind of surprised to get second, honestly. And but this year, we seem like a really solid team. We've played most of the teams that we're going to play at state, and we've mostly beat them. And that's all I really have to say about that.
Jared?
Yeah, for sure. Last year we were a strong team, mostly because Mitch and Eli were really strong in fine arts and political science, history, things like that. And the dynamic of the team has changed a little bit this year. We're stronger in science, like chemistry and physics, and math. And of course, Mitch has kept his work up and become even better than he was last year. But like you said, it was really I guess surprising to us to finish second at state last year. I guess we expected to come out of sectionals and get there and play well, but second place was really a cool thing. And I think this year will be a little bit different, us having to play Piasaw on the first match of pool play. And I guess we'll just have to hope for favorable questions. And I think we're confident going into state, and we've got a solid team. We've got solid supporting cast and our subs and stuff like that. So we're optimistic about it.
Let's talk about Piasa, their budding rivalry between us and I'm trying to think what it's the Birds. It's
Piasa Birds.
It's just the Birds, and if you go down by Alton, there's this huge mural painted on the side of a sandstone up there. It's pretty interesting. But you guys are, I think, 2-4 against them this year. The 4 losses that you have had have come down to 1 question, and the 2 times that you guys have beat them, you handle them pretty well. So I kind of compare this. A lot of times people look like when brackets come out, whether it's NCAA or IHSA for football, and they're like, oh man, we got this. We're going to have to face this team. But eventually, if you want to win it all, you have to beat them. So what kind of mindset are you taking into this? Because a lot of people are saying that this first match out of the gate, 10 o'clock on Friday at the Peoria Civic Center, will probably be the marquee matchup in Class A for Scholastic Bowl.
I think it's a special kind of pressure because we've played them so many times, and they've beaten us more times than we've beaten them. But I think we're pretty evenly matched, to be honest. They're really good at fine arts and literature, and so are we. But they tend to get more of the music questions as far as fine arts go, and they're pretty good at art and things like that. But I think we're a little bit stronger in science and math and literature too. But they're a really solid team, and it's just going to be like any other match. We'll have to, just do our best, and who knows what it could come down to. So.
We've played Piasa a lot. I've seen their players many times. I'm actually good friends with most of them on the team. So we always have some inside jokes with them. We always shake hands, hug each other when we see each other because, we're great friends. They're really cool guys. Their coach is cool. And like he was saying, their players are really good. We think of them as an even match. And I think it's going to be the greatest A match there. And it's a good match to watch.
Now let's talk about the pressure here. You guys have had extremely high expectations coming in. Another spring activity that actually spring sport that gets start tomorrow because you guys are kind of the end of our winter season. Spring's starting up here. Softball, they have extremely high expectations coming into with state aspirations. What's the pressure like knowing you guys got second and kind of came out of nowhere last year and then are one of the favorites, if not the favorite, to bring this home on Friday? How do you deal with that? What do you use it as motivation? Does it not cause you to sleep at night? Well, what is that like for you guys?
I usually get sleep at night, but it does put on a little bit of pressure because I feel like I need to win this. If we do lose, it'd be unfortunate, but it'd be to a good team, so I'd be fine with that. But we do have many of our student section going, or much of our student section going to the match, or going to the state, and I feel like I'd be upset if we lost while they were all watching, because for many of them it'd be their first time or second time watching one of our matches.
Yeah, to be honest, it's making me kind of nervous talking about it right now, but
we'll just get the nerves out of the way before Friday.
Right.
So we can talk about it.
Well,
right
I'm
now.
sure they'll come back, but I think it'll just be. I think it'll be a good match, and I guess I just feel pressure because we got second last year, and we're a better team than we were last year, in my opinion. But yeah, like in terms of pressure, I guess we just feel like it would be cool for us to bring home a state championship, and it would just be a really good experience for us to, celebrate that with our fellow students and celebrate that with our school, and I just think we're really excited about it, and if that's how it goes, then we'll have fun with it for sure.
Well, and obviously, one thing we talk about, controlling what you can control. You obviously can't control the other team. You can only control your questions that you answer and the ability to answer that. And I think you guys have done an extremely great job with that this year. You talked about the student section, Mitch. We'll get back to that in a second because I think that's an interesting story here. But the thing I want to talk about with you, Jared, you were on another state team, state golf. First time the boys have gone this year. And as we were talking before we started recording this here, you guys have been to a tournament that size before, but sometimes when you get that word state to it, it adds that added pressure to having, oh my gosh, it's this huge stage. How does having gone last year take away that pressure, kind of knowing what to expect, and then also having been to state golf?
Well, like I said, I think we're a better team in Scholastic Bowl this year, and I guess that puts pressure on us to do better than we did last year, which is going to be hard to do, obviously. But with golf, it was just a little bit different because we didn't really have any expectations. And sectionals was kind of a weird deal because we were the only sectional that had to play on Tuesday, and of course we got postponed into Wednesday, and that was kind of hard to sleep on that night because we had all played pretty well. And then it was just a pleasant surprise to make it to state with golf, but I didn't expect anything less than Scholastic Bowl. That's the only real difference. And like you said, with the slapping on the state, it's the biggest stage we can get around here, and it just feels like a different tournament, even though it's pretty similar to most of the things we've done. So it's I guess it helps to have gone before, and just play it by ear and see how it goes. So.
Now, Jared, you said that, for you guys around here particularly, this is the biggest stage. But obviously you guys went to a bigger stage last year with the national tournament up in Chicago, qualifying again. And I believe that's for the Masons, isn't it? Is that who puts that one on, or who puts on the national tournament that you guys go to?
NAQT does.
But you guys had to qualify for that.
Yes.
So obviously a huge stage there. And in terms of the competition level, probably higher than IHSA. Does that, make you go into this with a lot more confidence on?
I'm gonna say no, mainly because it is small school national championship tournament, different than the high school national championship tournament, which has a lot larger schools, greater teams, like in the AA class. And so at small school, we're not just playing these great teams. We're playing also moderate to worse teams. So it's not like all of the matches are really hard. That may sound offensive or mean, but it's the truth. Small school is also a lot more fun. I don't feel as much pressure at small school than IHSA, because IHSA, I feel like, is what everyone else knows. They can relate to that with every other sport, like football, baseball, everything else. And we can bring home trophies, larger trophies that people else or other teams would know. But small school is just, you just play other teams from other states they don't really know, and it's just kind of fun to meet other players.
Now, you mentioned student section coming up on Friday. How big of a crowd are you guys expecting up at the Civic Center? Because there was a few kids that came last year, but it seems like there's going to be quite a bit more coming up on Friday.
Well, I personally wish that the entire student body could come, but I'm really excited about this too, because a lot of our friends have come to other matches. Like senior night, we probably had 15 or 20 students come and watch, and hopefully more than that come out. But we'll take whatever we can get, because it's just really exciting to have people there supporting you. And I think it brings a lot of energy to the atmosphere. And I know of at least 15 people, I think, that are going to be up there. So, that's something I'm really looking forward to personally.
Now, when looking back on last year, were there other teams that had student sections besides, people cheering them on, besides their parents and family?
Not really. Not that we played anyway. It seemed like it was just the coaches and family members mostly. But I think we definitely had one of the biggest family supporting casts too. And Piasaw is similar in that respect as well.
Now, is there etiquette for the students to follow in terms of their, I guess, behavior and how they can cheer during a Scholastic Bowl match?
Pretty much not until the end. They try to keep things quiet, because it does take a lot of focus and a lot of thinking, just to try to recall things from your mind that you might not have thought about in a while. So definitely just staying quiet during the match, and we could celebrate afterwards is basically how it goes.
Now, Mitch, one thing we talked about last year before you guys headed to state was how you prepped in the off season, going to Quiz Bowl over at Eastern Illinois University, and you took 3 of your teammates with you this year. Jared sitting here with us, and then Zach and Kara as well. How was that helpful to help your team bond and become even closer? Because obviously you guys are already pretty close with the team bonding stuff that Coach Trimpe invented last year. But what did this do in terms of like the icing on the cake with that?
Well, the Ace Quiz Bowl camp is different because all you do is Quiz Bowl, eat, sleep, Quiz Bowl, and also because the other people on our team, Zach and Jared, they don't just do quiz bowl all day as much as I would like them to, but they also have to do schoolwork and get ready for college and other things like that. So I feel like it's also a lot of fun, but I feel like the quiz bowl camp really just made them think more about quiz bowl, which made them better, and they also learned a lot.
What was the experience like for you? I know you've probably heard Mitch talk about it. Were you kind of thinking one thing going in, and then, once you got there, I mean, what was it like? And obviously you've played athletics, probably different than going away to a sports camp.
Yeah, I think I was a little bit overwhelmed with how much work we did. Like literally all day, you're learning stuff. You're playing individual matches against other people, and then going to classes and things like that. I think I went to a cross country camp freshman year at Eastern, and it was similar. We wake up in the morning and run, and then go to like a clinic or something. But with ACE, you're basically grinding all day. You don't get any downtime, and you're learning the entire time. But I think it was a really good experience because I definitely learned things there that still stick with me, and things I still remember. And like the teachers there were just really great, and set up a good environment to learn in. And I really like the experience and being able to hang out with them more often, because other than that, we didn't really hang out a ton until Scholastic Bowl this year. And we've been in season for 5 months now, practicing and playing tournaments like pretty much every weekend. And it's been really cool to get to know them and stuff.
Obviously, one of the reasons we have been consistently good at all of our programs, our head coaches have stuck around for a while, and Coach Trimpe has been with you guys for 4 years. And when him and I talked, I compared it to when I was still coaching football, and the first class that I was able to follow them all the way through with moving up in the ranks of coaching. How important has that been for him to be with you guys the last 4 years, and what kind of bond do you think you'll have with him and this class together as you look back 5-10 years down the road from this experience?
Well, and we were fortunate to get to spend our first 2 years, too, with Mr. Trimpe, because he didn't have an assistant coach in those 2 years. Senora just joined us last year, and he's been really, really good with us. He's taken a lot of time out of his life, out of spending time with his family, to be with us on weekends and stuff like that. And I don't know where this team would be without him necessarily, because he's put in so much time and worked so hard, and so have we. But yeah, he's been really great, and he's just a really likable person, and someone that I think everybody deserves to get to spend time with. So yeah, he's been really great in helping us get to where we've gotten, and hopefully even further.
I honestly couldn't imagine Quiz Bowl without Trimpe. It's going to be odd playing in college without him there. He's seemed like he's been there since I was a freshman, like Jared said. And that's when I was really an unknown quantity. And now with him, I'm one of the highest ranked players in the state of Illinois. It's just, he's really seen me grown. And I couldn't imagine of doing it with a different coach. It'd just be weird without him. It seems like he's just kind of ingrained in our Quiz Bowl team.
And we'll talk about legacy here in a second. But Mitch, you mentioned real briefly there, going on to play collegiately. You're heading to the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign in the fall. Jared, where are you kind of at with that? Going to SIUE, going into mechanical engineering? Do you think you'll have time to continue on with a collegiate Scholastic Bowl career, or is this kind of it for you here on Friday and then heading into the national tournament in April?
Yeah, this very possibly could be it for me, just with school taking up so much time, and mechanical will be a difficult major to maneuver through while worrying about other things. So if this is it for me, I'll be very proud to have played for this team and for Mr. Trimpe, and I don't think I'll have any regrets about it, because I don't know if anything could ever live up to what this team has been and what it means to me. So it's possible that this could be it for me, but there's nothing wrong with that in my opinion.
Thinking about legacy here, because obviously, and correct me if I'm wrong, but really, 2 more events left for you guys here. The IHSA State Series on Friday, and the national event coming up in April up in Chicago, as this will be your really last activities with WHS representing the Bullets out of there. How special has that experience been being here? Because I've been at several different schools, and this place is just so unique. And one thing that we always talk about is how, we share students so well in terms of being able to allow them to do so many different activities. What is this going to mean to represent WHS one last time and being out there wearing the purple and gold?
Well, Quiz Bowl wise, Williamsville wasn't really well known for about 2 years, since 2 years ago, and then we made it to state, and everyone's like, "Whoa, who are these people?" But I mean, our football team and all our other teams have done really well in the past, and I just think it's awesome that we're not just good athletically, but also academically.
Yeah, I agree with Mitch. It's been really cool to represent Williamsville High School, not only because we have a reputation for being good at, like you said, at football. We had a great season in basketball. Looking forward to a great season in softball, and I think it shows that we're not just successful in one thing. We're a really great school all around, and we always have the highest test scores in the area. And it goes to show that not only are we good athletically, but like you said, we're good academically too.
I mean, overall, it just better be a Bullet. We know that's the case.
It is.
So I'm sure you guys have thought about this, but how special would it be to be coming back on Friday afternoon and then celebrating Monday with the first state title in school history since 1995?
It gives me goosebumps to think about it. It would be, I don't know how to put it into words. It would be amazing. The thought of a state title is just, it's only one team gets that every year, and it's such a special thing. And with all the hard work we've put in, it would just be really special to bring that home. And something that it would really be really special to us.
I mean, I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't want to jinx it, but it would be amazing to bring home a state title. Because, like I said, every other team or every other student, even if they don't know that much about Quiz Bowl, they could comprehend that, hey, they just won a state title. I mean, that's crazy. They're good,
Well, Mitch and Jared, once again, thank you guys so much for taking time out of your afternoon to sit down and talk with me, not only about this season, what's coming up on Friday in terms of the historic run that you guys have had, but your entire career here, not only in Scholastic Bowl, but at WHS. We wish you guys the best of luck heading into Friday. If you're not heading up to Peoria, you can follow the progress on Twitter at WCSD15 Sports. We updated a little bit quicker than the IHSA Score Zone, so we will have things up there. But before we let you guys go, I know you're trying to get some last-minute cramming in. Is there anything else you'd like to add or tell the listeners out there?
I'd like to thank my family because, especially my mom, she goes to every single meet, tournament, match. She brings snacks to every Saturday tournament. I really couldn't do this without her. She also supports me individually. I also like to thank my coaches, Trimpe and Senora. They've been great. They've brought us to all the tournaments and stuff. And most importantly, though, is my teammates. This isn't a solo game. I need teammates. Everyone needs teammates. It's not a solo thing, like I said.
Like Mitch said, I want to thank my parents for all the hours they've put in reading me questions at home, coming to tournaments on Saturdays when, that takes up so much time. One tournament we went to in Champaign, we left at 6:30 in the morning and didn't get back till 10 at night. And it's really special to be able to have family there supporting you. And Mitch thanked his mom, and I also want to thank her for keeping us fueled up, bringing snacks all the time, and just being there. She's a really great person to be around. And like you said, our coaches, Trimpe and Senora, for being at every tournament. That's a lot of time out of their lives that they could be spending with their families, and it's really special, like I said, to have coaches like that care so much about the activities and things like that. And this team's it's been really special to be around. We've had a lot of fun, and it's pretty sad for it to have to end, but we've had a really awesome run, and it's brought me a lot of confidence and a lot of joy just spending time with them, and being able to have some success in there too. It's been really fun. So,
well, like I said, we wish you guys the best of luck on Friday. If you want to come out and see the team off, they'll be leaving from the main doors of the high school 7:30 Friday morning. Police escort out of town up to 55 as they travel up 55 to 74 to the Peoria Civic Center, and hopefully be bringing something special home Friday afternoon. So when we return, we'll take a look at the week ahead for both the BBs and the Bullets.
Next time you're in the market for insurance or financial planning, stop by and see Country Financial Representative Ed Legner at 318 Crossing Drive in Sherman, or give him a call at 217 496-2341. And now, back to the show.
Welcome back to Williamsville Sports Weekly, presented by Ed Legner, Country Insurance Financial Representative for Sherman, Illinois. You can visit Ed for all your insurance and financial needs. The thing that was so cool with talking with Mitch and Jared, and you could really hear it with Jared, is how passionate he is about this, and you could even almost hear some emotion in his voice. I wish you could see it, as I did on his face as I interviewed him yesterday. But you could tell that they've really bought in, and they're so excited to go up and represent the school tomorrow up in Peoria.
Oh yeah, and Scholastic Bowl is not what it was when you and I were in school. I mean, it's competitive. I mean, there's a state title involved here, and these kids train, they study, and again, I know I brought this up earlier, but the kids here at school, they take pride in our Scholastic Bowl team. They do, and I think sometimes the kids on the Scholastic Bowl team are a little bit overwhelmed. You know, maybe not tremendously overwhelmed, but they're really overwhelmed with the pride that everyone else has in them. And we've got a bunch of kids going up tomorrow, and like you said, I was kind of joking around with the kids going up tomorrow. I was like, are you going to yell air ball when the other team misses a question and stuff like that? But and they're even kind of concerned about is there going to be enough seating for how many students we've got going up to support those guys, and I'm sure there will be. But it's just really cool to see like everyone backing these guys, and that's how it is with everything around here. And things have changed. I mean, 6-7 years ago, we had a lot of good programs, but sometimes you have programs not supporting others. But my goodness, I mean, you guys have done a great job, and I think the teachers and even the community, everybody supports one another. Look at the Casey Tuttle situation. Everybody's supporting Casey. So it's great to see, and we really wish those guys good luck. And I'm excited for them. You know, you hear that kind of passion. Anybody that's passionate about something, you got to pull for them. So we really hope they do well.
First opportunity to bring the first state title home since 1995. Obviously, in softball, it's our only one right now. So they're excited, and it's going to be exciting to follow them tomorrow. Pep rally, like we talked about, taking place today. Police escort out of town tomorrow at 7:30. So if you can be here at the main entrance of the high school at about 7:30 tomorrow morning, you can watch them go out of town as they head up 55 up to I-74 to the Peoria Civic Center for that state match. And like I said, you can follow us on Twitter at WCSD15 Sports for all those news and score updates from Scholastic Bowl up there tomorrow. Like we said, follow us on there, too, for all the changes with spring events. Very good possibility that there could be some changes tomorrow with baseball, and then baseball and softball then on Saturday as well. So a lot of great things going on, and before we know it's going to be spring break and then end of school year, and it's just chugging along fast. So until next week, just remember, it's always better to be a Bullet.